Hey everyone, we're going to take a quick break and talk about our sponsors for the month, AMP Agency. AMP is a full-service digital marketing agency that specializes in tour, rental, and destination marketing.
We would not have sponsors on the show if we could not vouch for them ourselves. AMP Agency does a bunch of stuff for Destiny Water Adventures personally. I 100% vouch for this guy. I've handed them over to other companies in the past before they officially became a sponsor, and they have had nothing but great things to say. If you guys are doing your own marketing and doing a piss poor job of it, do yourselves a favor. Hand yourselves over to AMP Agency, specifically Steve Edwards, their CEO, will call you personally and have a great conversation with you about what you guys need to do for your marketing.
Listen, guys, they do pretty much everything in digital marketing: website development, maintenance, Google AdWords, PPC, graphic design, social media management, SEO, and a myriad of other things. When you choose a marketing company, it's so important to choose a company that knows your industry. And AMP Agency knows activity marketing, especially water sports and tours. They got a promo going for Awkward Water Sport Guy listeners for their managed websites. Use promo code Awkward Podcast when you go to amp.agency. Again, that's amp.agency, promo code Awkward Podcast. You get 3 months free and get started with AMP Agency. All right, guys, let's get back to the show.
We're coming in hot with episode 111 of the Awkward Water Sports Guys podcast. Obviously today we got a very interesting guest. I can't even try to intro this guy because I'm just not going to do him justice. We're speaking with Barry Knight. Barry, how are you doing today, my friend?
Man, I'm doing absolutely phenomenal, Kev. How are you doing, my friend?
Amazing, man.
Yeah.
So look, give us some credentials. What do you do? Where are you from? Give us a little bit of context as to who you are, man.
Yeah, man, I'm going to do that, but we also have to tell the people about how we met, Kevin. I think that's interesting. But before we get there, man, I'm gonna fall in line. So, hey, folks, my name is Barry E. Knight. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called BEK Impact Company. We're a leadership consulting firm. Work with a lot of those leaders. I tell basically what we do is we help leaders move their vision from concept to action to outstanding transformational results and outcomes. I often share with leaders and our clients that I work with that whether your organization is healthy, dysfunctional, or stuck, it always acts like its leader. So when people call me, they say, hey, listen, my organization is not acting right or we're dysfunctional. I'm going to say, hey, well, it might be a reflection of you or decisions you're making or not making. So that's what I've been honored and blessed to do for the past, 10 years, 5 years. We've had the business actually going for 5 years, almost 6 years. Before that time, Kevin, I was a pastor, believe it or not, for 11 and a half years, and just felt not a bigger call, but a call to, really go out and build leaders that are impacting industry, impacting their world. And so that is something I fell in love with, and it is a calling for me.
So, oddly enough, I was in Dallas for a conference that had like a lot of consultants and business gurus, and I was on my way home, and me and Barry were sitting next to each other on a flight. But I thought what was interesting about this is that I was in a room with a bunch of like consultants and business guys, and then I get set next to Barry here, and Barry, I'm going to let you go ahead and you can tell the story how we actually met.
Well, listen, we were sitting right next to each other, and listen, the funny thing is, I told Kevin this already, so it's no secret. When I get on the plane, I don't know about anybody else, I don't like to talk to people. And when I saw Kevin, he made a joke about Kevin. I don't even remember what it was. You made a joke, and I said, "Dang it, this dude is going to talk to me the whole flight. I know it." And so I was bracing myself. I was ready for it. But once we started talking, I said, "Man, wait a minute. I think I need to know this guy. For some reason, I think there's a connection." And literally the entire flight. So you said that was Dallas, because I was coming from SoCal. So that was my leg that we stopped there. And then we're going to Pensacola. So the entire flight, right, Kevin? We're talking the entire flight. And it was probably one of the most phenomenal connections. We talked about everything. It was no set subject or anything. We talked about faith, family, trouble, business issues, I mean, just whatever, everything, aside of, no, I think we did touch on politics a little bit. But anyways, it was just an amazing time. I'm glad that I was able to meet this guy, and, immediately he invited me to just join him as a guest on the podcast, and just very humbled and honored to be here on today.
So the reason I asked Barry to come on the show is because he has got such a clear and strong and present and loud voice. And the thing is like the conversation that we had on the plane, I feel like for our industry, specifically, you do need the clarity and the execution of the message, and it needs to be so loud and resounding so we all get the message. Now, Greg and I haven't done, so they call it DIE. So Barry, why don't you tell us what DIE means to you, besides, being a terrible acronym, die.
Yeah. Well, it's actually DEI.
DEI,
yeah.
sorry.
DIE is like, it's exactly what people want to do with it. So this is a conversation Kevin and I got in with. So in addition to running my company, I got to set up a backstory. I don't want to bore you all. Hopefully you guys don't log off from this. This is going to be a great podcast, I can promise you. But so one of the things I do also is I work with a lot of government organizations. So long story short, I met the CEO of the county in which I live in, Riverside County. Met him last year in 2022, March of 2022. And he said, hey, can you help our organization? We have this diversity, equity, inclusion deal coming up, and can you help us? And I said, well, who you're hiring for that position they're going to do the job that we would do. And long story short, he asked me, he said, well, would you apply? I said, heck no, I don't want to work for anybody. I have my own company. I'm doing well. But I just felt this was a calling. And here's why. And Kevin and I had a little brief discussion about this. And again, I don't want anybody to log off. I hope everybody would hear me as I'm talking about this. Many things that are happening in this great country of America are due to the fact that we haven't learned to listen to the other. If you're married, you kind of understand what this is like, right? We can argue, but we're really wanting the same thing, but we just want to be heard, and we don't want to lose in the conversation. So one of the reasons I took this position is because I believe I understood it from a more human perspective than most. In other words, my job is not to come here to divide. So anyone who thinks diversity, equity, inclusion is about division, let me help you out that is wrong. If you're listening to media, Fox News, CNN, whatever, I'm going to be honest with you, and I don't know if you're going to edit this out, Kevin, or not, but they just don't have the whole story. They just don't know. They're there to make the money, to stir up the controversy. That's their job. But the role that I play in, and I believe this is the healing for America. Let me explain diversity to you, okay? So it's me, Greg, and Kevin on this podcast, right? We're pretty smart guys. I'm sure we're pretty smart. If we came together and said, hey, let's come up with this business idea and let's call it Spanx, right? Pretend Sarah Blakely didn't have that idea. It was us. We came up with this idea, said, let's call this company Spanx. Now imagine me, Kevin, Greg, we're in this design room. We're stitching, we're sewing, coming up with the right material. We're trying on these Spanx. For hopefully everybody knows what Spanx are, SPANX. So just go Google it if you don't. But anyways, we're coming up with this. We could probably, we're smart guys, right? We could probably come up with a great, awesome product. But if we brought in a woman, we could probably amplify our impact with that product. That's diversity. In other words, it's looking at the product that we have. It's looking at the service that we're offering. It's looking at who we're offering it to. It doesn't mean diversity. And this is where people get it wrong. Diversity doesn't mean, and everybody listen to me very closely. Diversity does not mean it's a whole bunch of white guys. Oh, we need to hire black people. Stop it. Cut the crap. That's the problem. What's going on. That is not it. So if that's what you think it is, wipe that off of your mind. Every media outlet, I'll say it to everyone. They are wrong. They are wrong. Because, listen, there's this area, if you've ever heard of Coachella Valley out here, that's where the big concert happens every year in SoCal, right? Coachella Valley is like 95% Hispanic. If diversity is what we're looking for, then we have to have more black people move to Coachella Valley. And guess what? I'm a black dude. I'm not moving to Coachella Valley. It gets like 115 degrees out there, right? I'm not doing it. That's stupid. Diversity is not an outcome. Diversity is a strategy for expansion. It's a strategy for improving your product, for understanding what people need. So if you're in business and you don't know your customers and their need, then you don't understand diversity. That's diversity. It is a strategy to increase productivity, performance, and the quality of your work. So, okay, I've given you, that's it. Hopefully you got that. And lastly, I'll say about equity, right? Everybody loves equity. If you've ever gone to a building, a 2-3-story building, or maybe in a mall, you didn't take the steps to the second level. You took what we call an elevator. You took the elevator or the escalator because it's easier to get there. That's equity. And here's the thing about it. It's really not made for us who are highly mobile, right? An elevator is for those that are more immobile, wheelchairs, but yet we all benefit from using an elevator and an escalator, right? It's to help transport people from one level to the next who maybe us who can use, both legs we can get up there, but they can't. That's equity, right? Toilet seats are equitable. My wife gets pissed off still, 20 years of marriage almost, when I leave the freaking toilet seat up, right? That's equity, right? Somebody was pissing in the toilet and said, oh, wait, let's make this easier for women, right? Let's put a toilet seat to make it easier for them to take a piss, right? So if you ever have piss and use a toilet, you understand equity. Okay, I'm done. I'm venting, man. I'm on a... But all of this, Kevin, I'm sorry, all of this is about growing business, right? You have a lot of people listening to this about growing business, and we're hearing these terms and have no idea. And what I brought to this county is how to operationalize it, how to increase, again, performance, productivity, quality of work, how to understand our customers so we can produce a better product or service for them. That's what this is all about, man. Okay, I'm done ranting.
Hey everyone, Greg here. As you may know by now, I'm the co-founder and CEO of TripShock, an online reseller for water sports and tours. For the past 12 years, we've had the pleasure of working with hundreds of operators across the country, and we're looking to grow our community. It's free to sign up, and you only pay when we bring you confirmed bookings. We'll help you reach new customers, fill empty seats, and grow your business like so many have done with us over the years. Head over to partners.tripshock.com to learn more about our program, read testimonials, or speak directly with our supply team. As always, thank you for listening and enjoy the show.
No, you're good. And listen, it's important. And I want to touch on two things here. So first, to give context, because you guys might be asking yourselves, like, a lot of people that listen to us, folks that listen to us they're water sport entrepreneurs. We own water sport businesses, and this question comes up, and it's mostly been that we've had the conversation, like we did a roundtable at last year's forum about how to get more women in water sports. Well, there's a little bit of an elephant in the room, because okay, so let's talk about that in totality then, right? So how do we get more women in water sports? How do we get more black folks in water sports? How do we get more Asian people in water sports? And so obviously we could spend 3.5 hours talking about demographics and marketing and trying, and so that's one. Okay. So, and part of that elephant in the room is that, as you and I talked about on the plane, it's like, this is hard for me to have this conversation, or Greg and I to have this conversation, without representation in the room. Because it's like, if you, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but if you're saying, if the message is coming from you and you're saying that, and about the equity of having the toilet seat down as the example, but you're a woman, let's say, it's much easier for you to say that than it is for us to say that. I mean, would you disagree or agree with that?
Well, I agree, disagree. I don't know if that's really where it is. I mean, I understand what you're saying, Kevin, and the challenge is we haven't talked about it. There is no framework to really have the conversation like you and I did on the plane. And if we could just talk about it from this perspective, I'm sure there's people listening to them like, well, I never thought of it like that, right? We could get into conversation, but when we bring the other stuff into it, that kind of dilutes really the point that we're trying to make. I think that's where it gets hard. And so just in short, it's really just about learning how to have the conversation. But I understand what you're saying. Yeah. It might be better coming from one person than another, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I feel like even in my company, like we have a pretty good mixed bag in water sports. You come down to Destiny Water Adventures and it's like we have every, it's like a meeting of the nations. And as we talked about on the plane, when I'm trying to empower somebody, for me, it's strictly financial, right? So it doesn't come down, it wasn't like women or young black men came to work and I'm like, hey man, I want to round out my team to meet an image. It was like, no man, these are just the heavy hitters in the industry. They come, they show up early, they stay late, and white, woman, black, whatever it may be. It's just how the demographic in our community. I don't know how we ended up like that. Like, I feel like I have the best team in the game and we all look the way we look. You know what I mean? It's like they do a great job, and it has nothing to do. You know what I mean? I didn't even know what DEI before we even say it. So I was calling it DIE. So I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to make any play on that.
Yeah.
But when we talk about media, are they? And is it this voice in the room that's not truly representative of the conversation that you and I are having, but it's a representation of sensationalism, which makes people feel that they do have to, or that they should, or that they're not being equitable. But can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, and I'll try to be brief with this. Sometimes I wonder why the CEO wanted to hire me, because I'm not your traditional guy. And this is not about advocacy. It's about, hey, are we being the best we can for the people we're serving? And Kevin, I tell you, if I can kind of go back and give some observation of you on the plane, Kevin is that guy, right? Kevin, if you know Kevin is a guy that nobody is a stranger, to him twice. So he meets you, he knows you, he's going to talk to you. He's going to make jokes with you. He's going to be himself. He's going to engage with you. But he also has that world view. Okay. And I just finished a training today and we were talking about mental models. And so how we see things, it's not, we can call it bias, implicit bias, all this good stuff. And we all have that. That's neither here nor there. But we have a mental model. And sometimes our world, has only included a certain type of people. And my encouragement to those is, it's not a blame or shame. It's just, hey, open yourself up to get to know, shake hands, and have lunch with someone who's different from you. You may never have lunch again with them, but at least you can open up your world to expose it to other people and to find out what other people believe, why they think the way they think. And for nothing else, you can say, oh, wow, I didn't know that. Now I know. And again, Kevin, hats off to you, because I really feel in that short plane ride that that's who you are. You're just an open person. So you're going to see people that others might overlook or they wouldn't look at for whatever reason. Doesn't matter the reason. You're just going to see them and you're going to be more open to having that. So that's kind of natural and organic for you. So again, hats off, man, and kudos.
Hey guys, we're going to take a quick break to talk about the Water Sports Forum, which is now being rebranded as The Port at Arrival.
That's right, Kevin. We're going to be doing our third annual water sport and boat tour operator forum, now called The Port, from October 9th to the 12th. So let's break it down real fast. The first day, October 9th, is the full day event where we'll bring in speakers, host panels, do roundtable sessions. If you went to the year previous, you kind of understand the format. The rest of the week, we'll be partnering with the Arrival Conference to bring you supplemental programming in our special VIP room called Captain's Cove.
Listen, I want you guys to hear me loud and clear. If you guys are listening to this show, if you guys have ever come to one of our conferences before and you thought that was great, this is going to be jam-packed with value. Now, I want to tell you one last thing. Somebody, a very smart investor, once told me that you bet on the jockey, not on the pony. So I'm asking you guys to bet on this conference, on Greg and myself, on Doug and Bruce at Arrival, and know that the amount of value that you are going to extract from both of these conferences are going to be an incredible return on that investment.
So let's talk pricing. A one-day ticket for the forum will run $199. This also includes lunch and our after-hours event. If you decide to stay for the Arrival Conference, you can purchase a combo ticket, which gives you a 15% discount on both events. Because the pricing goes up each month leading up to the event, and this commercial doesn't change, please head to the watersportpodcast.com and click on 2023 conference. Again, watersportpodcast.com, click on the 2023 conference link in the menu, and then you can view the current pricing for the combo package and the arrival ticket. You'll also find info on lodging and programming. This year we're going to be having at the Rosen Shingle Creek, which is an awesome resort.
Special guest speakers. We're going to have a lineup that is going to knock your socks off. We're going to be covering everything from assets, finance, marketing, operations. Like, this is the one and done mastermind. And I don't know when we're going to be able to do something this comprehensive again. And guarantee you, if we do, we'll be bringing the same value in a smaller group for 10 times the amount of money, because it really is that valuable.
Be sure to get your tickets early because we only have 125 seats. Again, watersportpodcast.com, go to 2023 conference, and from there you can purchase your tickets, you can purchase your combo tickets, you can purchase your lodging. Everything you need to know about the conference is on that page. If you have any questions, just reach out to Kevin or myself, go to our Facebook group, hit us up. We'd be happy to answer anything you need, and we'll see you there. Let's get back to the show.
Well, so the reason I wanted to start off, because I want this episode to touch on two things. So the other thing that we really got into was leadership. Obviously, that's what you do, and this is fostering leadership not in any one demographic or segment. This is fostering leadership, period. You know what I mean? This is like the white community, the black community, the Irish community, whatever. But I felt it was just an important conversation to have, because it's not something that we talk about in our industry, but you do. You walk down on the docks and you see a bunch of white men. Like, that's typically, and I don't know if that's a demographic problem as far as just because, I don't know, boating, I would assume, I have a lot of assumptions about that, but those assumptions could be wrong. I would assume that it's A, numbers game. It's B, I grew up in Detroit, right? Now they're just, me and the rest of my community, which happened to be predominantly black, none of us had boats. None of us were going fishing in the Detroit River, man. You know what I mean? So, right. But across the road in Grosse Pointe, which is a very affluent white suburb on Lake St. Clair, everybody had boats. So now is this, right, as we talked about on the plane, is this cultural or is this socioeconomic?
It's great question. And it's both. It's both cultural based on socioeconomics, right? So if you look back to the 1940s, I won't try to give a big historical lesson or anything, but 1940s, the black population was prospering probably better than it was now. More home ownership in the 1940s in the black population than it is now. More marriages, people stayed together longer, stayed married. No matter what daddy did, mama didn't go anywhere, right? Papa was a Rolling Stone, but mama was there. But we look at that. We look at the family values. It was stronger in the 40s than it is now. Somewhere we lost kind of that value system. I won't get in that because that's not what you're really asking me. But again, going back to I appreciate that. It's definitely socioeconomic, okay? And when you look at the lower socioeconomic scale, you're going to find more African Americans, Black Americans in that lower socioeconomic, right? When we look at graduation rates, when we look at home ownership, when we look at income, all of these things. And by the way, this is good demographic talk as well for those that want to reach out to more. And a lot of here's another thing also in the African American community. On the weekends, many African Americans and many Black Americans, we go to church. And that's another thing, religion is high in our world. So to leave and miss a Sunday, I know in my house, my dad was a pastor. So in my house, it was like you were going straight to hell with gasoline draws on if you missed Sunday, right? So while my white friends were out boating, I'll never forget Jerry, his family had a camper and a boat in their backyard. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I would always get invited to go to
You're like, they're rich. They're so rich.
Camping with them.
They got a boat. They got a boat. They must be
dude.
the richest people on the planet.
Right. Hey, spot on. I mean, like four houses down, same neighborhood. We're owning homes at the same. Oh, well, not me, but my parents owning homes. But they were at another level of wealth to me, man. But mom
100%.
was like, and dad said, nope. Yeah, we have to go to church Sunday. You can't go boating. So I think it's a mix of a lot of things, but it's also, so what I'm doing in this position, I'm in, one of the directors with Riverside County, just doing a 3-year. I told them I'll give them 3 years to help them build this out. Then I'm back to, I'm still running my company too, so that's still going very well. But anyways, one of the things we're looking at is baseline data. We're looking at who are we reaching. So I'll give you a point in case, and I think this might be a parallel conversation. So I'm working with the Parks Department in our county, right? Consulting with the Director of Parks and Rec. And so she was like, well, Barry, you know, I guess we're diverse. I don't really know. And I said, well, listen, let's look at who's coming to our parks. Do you have any data for that? And she said, no, we don't collect that. I said, can we collect that? And she said, absolutely. So the first thing is, if you really want to look at who you're reaching or why you're reaching, let's find out who they are exactly. I'm sure you have databases filled with that information of who's renting what, or maybe you can or you don't ask. I don't know what the case is, but it might be something to consider, maybe doing a kind of a study on that. Find out who is accessing our stuff. And then like Blue Ocean Strategy and Blue Ocean Shift, if you ever read those books, which are amazing books, if you haven't, please pick them up on Amazon. But it's talking about not just looking at the people that are involved in industry, but looking at the people who are not involved in industry and asking why. Maybe there's something you haven't thought of, a new product, a new opportunity, a new service that can come out of by asking, saying, hey, you all don't go boating. Why? Well, here's one thing you'll find out in the black community. Many of them, for many years, were scared of water. And many black people don't, women don't want to get their hair wet. I mean, it's just a whole lot of things. So maybe you come up with a product for black women, put hair nets on. I don't know, right? You just made $10 billion right there.
Yeah.
Look,
but
these are
I'm like, you said, Barry is saying this, not me. Barry's saying it's not Kevin.
No. Hey, no, Kevin said it on the plane. I'm just saying I'm saying it for. No, I'm teasing. Real talk. Real.
Hey, come on now.
Oh man, this is good laughing, man. This is good. This is good. But no, my point is, and here's the thing to that point, even Kevin, when you were saying, oh, Barry's saying this. Listen. We should just be able to talk. This is another subject, but we should just be able to talk and have fun without it being so offensive. Now, if you're a jerk, you're a jerk, right? That's a jerk in any color. But I mean, if you really love people, you really care about people, we should be able to, I'm sure me and Kevin could get together and talk respectfully, laugh at each other, and, make jokes and know that we're brothers at heart and we never mean each other harm. And if he needs to correct me, call me on the carpet on something, maybe I didn't say something right, he's going to do that. And I'm going to say, oh man, I didn't know, forgive me. And we're going to move on and keep building brotherhood, right? But even in the messaging, and I'm probably going all over the place, but even going back to what I was just, I appreciate that. Thank you, Kevin. But even going back to what I was just mentioning is just really looking at, again, not just who you're serving, but again, this goes back to that diversity. Who are we not serving and why? And is there something that we can do? Is there a profitable way that we can expose our business to this population and increase, look not only at the outcome of increasing revenue, which is great, right? We want to be profitable. We want to get our service out there, let people know about our business, but also the impact of what you do. Just think about that. I'm a busy person. I am extremely busy. But I was just telling Greg earlier, a week and a half ago, I took my family down to San Diego for 4 days. I told my boss, I said, I'm not coming in. Told my clients, told my executive assistant for my company. I said, listen, don't schedule me. I'm going to take my family to San Diego. We're chilling for 4 days, Tuesday to Saturday. We stayed and we just hung out. That builds health. That's what you get to invest in. That's a greater impact to your work.
I want to move over to leadership, but before I do, it's something I asked you on the plane, because it's like, it's just a conversation. It's just like, man, I would love to stop having it, like, period, where we're all just like, yeah, we're making money and we're doing business, and it's like everybody's getting along and the media isn't, sensationalizing all this crap. It's like, I asked Barry, I said, do you think we'll ever be able to stop having this conversation? And what did you say, Barry?
I've been asked a question, and the answer is probably not.
Yeah, I know.
It's probably not.
Not in our lifetime.
It's unfortunate. Yeah.
But the way but on a positive note, it's being able to have this conversation and to be able to poke fun at the conversation, to be able to have it openly. And what we're going to do, again, moving off the subject, is to be able to create better leaders in all communities and all business. So tell us exactly what your business does, Barry. So what exactly do you guys do? And what have you been doing?
3 points.
With your business. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and thank you for asking. 3 things is, again, as I mentioned before in the beginning, we help leaders grow themselves. As I mentioned before, whether your organization is healthy, dysfunctional, or stuck, it always acts like you. So when you look at your business, if there's dysfunction, if you're high turnover and people can't get good people, that's what we help do. We come and look at where you are as the leader. How are you communicating? One of the biggest things that happens when I'm coaching leaders, it's 2 things. The first main thing is when I sit down with them to coach them, I always ask them the same question. What do you want to achieve through our coaching sessions? Inevitably, 9.99999999999 times out of 10, right? They start telling me what they don't want. What's wrong? Oh, Barry, listen here. I called you because XYZ is going wrong. I'm, losing staff. I don't know what it is. We're just not hitting our numbers, blah, blah, blah. And I'll ask them again, what do you want to achieve? I just need this to stop. I need to put out this fire. Oh, if this wasn't happening. In other words, they keep telling me what they don't want. And a lot of times, leaders just don't take time to find out what they do want. So I move them to say, okay, imagine this problem is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. Now, what do you want to achieve? And again, 99.99999% of the time, they stop and look at me with this blank stare and say, Barry, I don't even know. So that's what I help people do. I help people to really remove themselves from the problem, because a lot of times, especially as business owners, I'm guilty of it. The problem of the business is our problem, right? The finances of the business are also our finances. And for those that have employees, like many of you do, Kevin and I do, that's also another thing. Like, my executive assistant, she feeds her 2 boys. She's married. Bills and stuff, that's on me. And we sometimes can't think of the future because we're just trying to keep the pieces together and make sure we're not losing anything. And we measure our success on, hey, we didn't drown today, right, in water terms. So we didn't drown today, we succeeded. No, I want you to float. I want you to get a Coke and a margarita and be able to lay out on the water and enjoy building this thing to the next level. And so, long story short, that's the main thing we do. Remove the blinders off. And then the second thing is, especially for those that we have teams, is which I love working with, we help to organize or align and optimize the relationship of your team. In other words, if this is where we want to go, if we want to go from point A to a successful point B, then what are the roles of your team? What would it look like? How does your leadership change? How does your communication change? So we get people very clear. And then the second thing, as I mentioned before, that the hardest thing for a leader to do is to make timely, concise decisions. It's one of the most difficult things. I always tell leaders, you're going to begin the year with the same people in the same spots, and you should have fired 2 of them. But you're going to keep building your business. You're going to keep going. And so we deal with that. What type of people do we need for this journey from point A to a successful point B? And then we help build strategy with indicators, KPIs, OKRs, objectives, and key results, so that we're noting every step of the way. Hey, we're measured. We're moving in the direction we should be going to. So long story short, that's what I do here at BEK Impact Company.
So if I could follow up, so let's say in terms of like small business, right? What would you say is probably the number one mistake that most founders, CEOs, business owners, small to medium sized businesses, what is the biggest mistake that they make with leadership or with anything else that you're identifying?
That's a loaded question, Kevin. I don't know if it's it's a good question, but it's definitely loaded. It's different for a lot of the clients. If I could kind of summarize all of my clients, and I'm kind of thinking back on some coaching sessions that I've had recently, it's number one, again, not being clear on what you want to accomplish, like sound clear vision. To where it engages everyone. If I tell my kids, hey, I want you to clean the house. I have 3 kids, right? Hey, go clean the house. Oh, Dad, I don't want to clean the house. But if I say, hey, listen, I want to go to Disneyland, but I want the house clean first. And here's what I want to do at Disneyland when we get there. But I need the house clean first. And this is what I want to achieve. And this is the time I want to spend with you at Disneyland. And this is what I want to say about our time at Disneyland, but I need you guys to go clean your room. Guess what they're probably going to run in the room to do? Clean the room. Because I gave them a clear vision of, after we fix this and get past this, this is what we get to do. And so as leaders, one of the challenges I found, if I can just summarize it in one, is really having a clear, concise vision and knowing how to communicate that vision, a compelling vision, but how to communicate it with clarity. And that inspires people to want to say, hey, I want to be a part of that. So that's kind of one of the biggest challenges. I hope I answered that question right.
Yeah, you did. And Greg, it looks like you got a question. I'm sorry, man. I'm always bubbling here. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to maybe try to slim down your question, Kevin, but maybe ask Barry to share a story of a successful coaching session.
Yeah.
Wow, a successful one. Well, there's been a few of them. One of them, again, and all of them kind of are dealing with. So I have I'll give you this. I have something called the leadership class. It's our online, kind of a lower entry way to get access to my coaching for those who can't afford one-on-one. And so it's where a group of leaders come together from different industries and we begin to talk. But one is working on this $5 million, $7 million goal, or whatever the case, of growing his business to this year. But the biggest thing was it's him and his wife are involved in this business together. And so, and I'm laughing because of, what he discovered, but it was really a limitation he put on himself because he was trying so hard to just really, he felt like a failure to his wife. And he was going to all these conferences and he just wasn't clear on what he wanted to do. And finally, he just admitted it. And this was in front of everybody. Again, mind you, there's other people, maybe I think this particular cohort, we had about 9 people. And so it was very, very emotional for him, but just admitting the fact that, hey, I feel like I'm failing even pursuing this goal. I mean, I tell my staff, I've told my wife, but I just feel like I'm failing. And so we dealt with that. And then I think the beautiful thing was there was another guy in real estate, has his own real estate business. He said, hey, I know exactly how you feel, and became this kind of team group where he called himself out. But it was very just therapeutic, it was cathartic, very emotional for the people that were there, and definitely obviously for the guy that had talked about this. And so I was just glad that he was able to overcome that. I know that sounds little, but it was huge for him because he had built the business but got stuck. And he just felt like, wow, I can't. And he wasn't really profiting. But there were some decisions he wasn't making. And so once we broke it down, we found out the areas, decisions that he wasn't making. One of them was staffing. Another one was his marketing plan that his wife had told him was wrong from the beginning. But that's another story. So, I don't know. That wasn't really a sexy story, but it was a story that is recent.
If I can, it's like something I see a lot, because this is the ironic part, is that I was in a room full of guys, and man, God, I'm in this network, and they all are trying to do what you're doing, Barry. And the one thing I sort of identified being in this room with these guys is, and this is probably, I don't know who are sitting in on your masterminds and your Zoom calls, but what I've sort of seen a lot in entrepreneurship is people want to have the entrepreneurial lifestyle. They want to have the business lifestyle, but so it's like the cart before the horse type thing, right? So to your point, this is a vision and sort of like a mindset issue of going like, well, I know I want to be in business, but I don't really, I'm not making brooms. I'm not a plumber. I'm not a water sport guy. I'm not an online travel agent. I don't have a passion for this stuff, but I just know that I want to be in business. And they get this idea of wanting to be in business first, and then finding the product or the idea to support that vision. And I think that is the case with a lot of young entrepreneurs or guys that simply just want to be in the business of being in business. And this is where the mindset and the vision is so important, because like if your vision is to just be in business, then you should probably just go get like an MBA or something like that. And that's great. But Ray Dalio talks about this a lot. It's productivity, right? And to this whole point, everything we're talking about from DEI to leadership is, what are you producing? Are you producing anything? And not just info products or marketing and all those things are great. And they're definitely products that are for sure. But what are you bringing to the marketplace that is productive, that provides impact, and that is disruptive, and that is shaking things up? Because those are the brands that last a lifetime. And the leadership and the marketing and the finance will follow that stuff, man. It will follow your vision. But if you don't have something that you are passionate about and that you're trying to make an impact with, you're just like, the message just gets lost in the rabble. And look, man, I really appreciate you coming on and doing the show and talking with us, man, because we experienced some great impact on the plane and these type of business relationships, like this is the gold, man. This is all the equity. This is all the profit. This is all the ROI. Like, it's these conversations that are of the highest value, because it might inspire a next leader, a next black water sport guy, the next female CEO, is to say like, yeah, man, there's a room full of people that get it. We get it, man. And Barry, I'm so happy we met on that plane, man. I need to get you into that other network. You should be on the stage
Absolutely.
Talking to these guys, man. It's a paid network, though.
Amen. Call me.
You got it, man. You got it. So
I'm ready to go whenever you invite me, man. Absolutely.
Hey, man, you got any final parting words of advice or anything you want to leave the audience with? And how can they get a hold of you if they want to contact you and in regards to your services?
Yeah, you can reach out to me by email, team, T-E-A-M, like a basketball team. My email address, team@bekimpact.com. team@bekimpact.com. Obviously, BEK is my initials. They're my initials, Barry E. Knight, right? If you're going to name a business, name it after yourself, right? A couple of things that I'll share with you just in closing is 2 words that I've been telling everyone I can is pay attention. Yeah. Pay attention. This is for every business owner, every entrepreneur, every leader that you want to make money, but you want to impact. You want to impact your family. You want to impact others' lives through a product or service that you offer. Pay attention. What do I mean by that? Don't just pay attention to where you are in life, but pay attention to who you are becoming where you are. Pay attention to relationships and what's emerging from that relationship. The reason Kevin and I are here today, the reason we're talking, is because we paid attention. We paid attention not just to a conversation. We paid attention to not just who was sitting next to us on the plane or to each other on the plane, but we paid attention to another world that was being created, a possibility, a future, something that we would never discover had we not met on that plane. So my encouragement to everyone, as you're building your business, pay attention. Pay attention to that conversation between you and that employee, you and that customer. Pay attention.
Yeah, man. That's great stuff. Barry, man, thank you so much for coming on, man. Thank you for chopping it up, man. And yeah, if you guys need anything, reach out to Barry at teams at BEK. I screwed it up. Barry, if you need anything, I want to re-hit
Team
that.
at BEK Impact.
Bang. And I won't give his personal number out because I'm going to be texting him so much and bothering him. He's on the West Coast. And hey, man, thank you so much. And as always, guys, keep it awkward.